it's Brooklyn. You're watching another Supernatural review, and this is season 8, episode 12, As Time Goes By. If you're new here, I do recap and review of every single episode of Supernatural, so let's get into it. I apologize, I am very tired, not sleeping well right now, and I watched this episode a few days ago, so I am gonna forget things. But we're about halfway through season 8, and this episode introduced something that becomes a big thing in Supernatural, the Men of Letters. And this episode had their grandfather, and it was something where, like, you know, that never even crossed like a lot of our minds. You know, of the mom's past and her being a hunter and everything, but like we never thought like their dad and his family had a past. Like we, you know, it's something that never crossed our mind, but because it's something that never crossed our mind and it's something that we never like dived into before, like the writers saw it as an opportunity. I think they wanted to do something different and introduce something that's different, and as I said, I feel like this season they're trying a lot of different things. So I think this is something that they wanted to try, and I think it's again like this idea, this thing that I talk about all the time, where the writers, like, they don't have, when they introduce something new, sometimes they don't know exactly where it's going to go. They don't have it all planned out. And definitely with this way, I feel like it's the same thing where they didn't know exactly what they were going to do. They didn't have it planned out, but they had some idea. And I feel like the Men of Letters was actually something that was like great to add. I feel like it was something where it was time for something new and something different. And I don't know, like I feel like the show could have been fine without Men of Letters, but it's something where really the Men of Letters aspect is really the bunker, and we didn't see the bunker this episode. I don't know if we see it next episode, but it's basically at the end, like what that thing was is like it's the bunker, and it's something where like the boys are always on the road, like that's kind of who it is, but it's like season 8, it's like kind of nice that they have like a home base. And before, I feel like Bobby's place was like a little bit of a home base, but that wasn't really like theirs. And having this bunker just like allows them to have like something that they could call home. And it's something that, like, you know, they're still on the road, they still do all this stuff, but I think it was something where also like it helps the productions this time, because then they don't have to have all these new locations, they can use the same locations. And so it was just something that I think worked. And even if they didn't introduce this, I feel like Supernatural would have been okay, but it was kind of interesting that they introduced it, and I think it worked. And a lot of times the things that they've been introducing this season I don't think has worked. So yeah, there really isn't, I think what Men of Letters are confusing, and they didn't really explain what they were this episode, but they're clearly different than hunters, and they knew where hunters were, but it was something that just like I don't think they had it all planned out. They were asking like what level they are on, like legacies, like all this stuff. They didn't have all planned out, but they wanted to have this thing. But yeah, it was kind of crazy to have like their grandfather be there in the episode, and they know their grandfather on their mom's side, but on their dad's side. So it was interesting to introduce that, and it was kind of interesting to see that dynamic of all of them. I thought that did he technically die this episode? I thought that he's in at least one more episode, but I can't remember exactly. Maybe in some form, some capacity, I can't remember. But this episode also introduced the demon Abaddon, and she's a demon that I actually really liked. And it's something where we have like Crowley as like a demon, and like we had Meg. I think Meg is dead now, and so it's something where they were like, we can introduce another female demon that has some kind of storyline, and something where it's very obvious that this is just her first episode. Like there's more to come from her. And this episode, like, it's this thing where it's like, is it serialized, is it episodic? It's hard to really say. I feel like it is technically episodic, but it was something where it's like, it's hard to watch this episode if you don't know Supernatural. And I feel like this episode, there's future episodes that you wouldn't understand if you didn't watch this episode, if that makes sense. Overall, I felt like it was an okay episode. I think I kept it off the good list and the bad list. It was just something where, like, I also kind of forgot that the Men of Letters things was coming up, and it was kind of an episode where, like, it felt more serialized, but it was like it needed to happen, it needed to come. Don't have much else to say, but in the end, it was pretty swell, and I think the Men of Letters is again like something great to be introduced, and we're just starting at the surface. And I can't remember everything that happened in this episode again, but introduced an Abaddon, yes, and I think their grandfather died, but it shows like there's more to come. But it's just kind of sad that we're not even like the episodic episodes, because I feel like I would still classify this as episodic. Like the episodic episodes don't feel like episodic, and it's just something that where you're like, oh my god, is it episodic or serialized? Like I want to know. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here, so thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and bye.